This is Chapter 5, Buying the Necessities. Discussion number 3, Cars. Now, I know according to our official definition, a car is not a necessity, but since we talked about houses as being which is a major type of purchase, well, let's sneak in cars in here because it also is a significant purchase, as in the total value of the expense, and some of the details are also important. Now, when you go out to purchase a car, one of the first things you're going to answer is whether you're going to buy a new car or a used car. Now, a new car is going to cost more, mainly because you are guaranteed that it's not supposed to have any problems with it before you get it, straight from the factory. Now, that also means that it's assumed that a lot of the maintenance costs are going to be a lot less during the first years that you've owned the vehicle because it's not supposed to break down immediately. However, used cars are going to be less expensive because of that unknown idea. There's already been some wear and tear on it, and so those are some of the economic trade-offs and opportunity costs that you're going to be uh, thinking about and considering when you're into purchasing a car. But also remember that just buying the car is not the sole expense that you need to worry about. Of course, you need to feed the car. Gasoline, that's going to be a cost that you need to plan on when purchasing a vehicle because unless you're buying it for a collector's item, cars generally don't sit in park in your driveways not doing anything. You're going to have to pay a registration fee. Put the license on there so the state can keep track of who owns what. Sometimes you could be offered an extended warranty, which is going to be an additional cost to cover possible car breakdowns in the future. Remember that when you buy a car, it's a certain cost, and once it becomes used, that value goes down, and the value will continue to go down as the wear and tear continues on the vehicle. That loss of value is referred to as depreciation. So the idea that could you sell the car later for more than what you bought it? Pretty much only if you found a pretty dumb person who was willing to do that, or a collector's item. For example, Corvette or some other really fancy Mustang or thing like that. Now, another most important expense that you are required to have, especially here in the United States, is that of insurance. Most states require that every single driver carry insurance that in case they cause an accident, that the damages done to the other vehicle will be covered. Now, the basic requirement for insurance is what's called liability, which means that if it's determined by the insurance companies and or the police that it was your fault that the accident occurred, then it'll be your responsibility to pay for it, rather that the insurance company will pay for it. And so it does not necessarily say it's going to fix your vehicle. If you get more coverage on your insurance, whether to cover your own damages, that's an additional cost, but the minimum requirement is liability. Now, the rates are determined by the insurance companies based on their experience and a large amount of statistics of how likely are you to cause an accident. Now, that can be based first of all on your driving habits. If you have speeding tickets, then you are more likely to have an accident. If you buy a red sports car, you are probably more likely to have an accident than someone who gets a minivan, because people who get sports cars probably want to drive their car like a sports car, and people who are driving minivans tend to be more careful about how they drive. So that's another consideration that insurance companies make when they come up with your rate for insurance. But another one that really hits you guys specifically is your age and your gender. The highest insurance rates are applied to male drivers between the ages of 16 and 25 because they are the most likely group to have accidents. That's what it is, guys. Sorry to say it, but overall, the statistics show that you are more likely to have an accident than any other group of people. After the 16 to 25 male category, it actually goes to senior citizens as the next largest group to more likely to have an accident, and then it pops back down to the females in the 16 to 25 group. So, but again, they're playing the statistics. Insurance is all about playing the statistics, and they say that's where the accidents are more likely to happen. So again, that's another cost that when you're purchasing a car, you need to be aware of and consider, because without the insurance, you're not going to be allowed to drive because the state's not going to let you. This concludes discussion number 3, cars. It also concludes the discussions for Chapter 5, buying the necessities.